Nobody gets divorced because one of the spouses buys a bike. It's because of a lot of stuff underneath that. Is that right?
Welcome to Startup Spouses, where we help entrepreneurial couples take their relationship from mediocre to mind-blowing. I'm Marie, a relationship and intimacy coach.
And I'm Adam. I'm a business coach.
Yeah. So today, I thought we would bring up one of our arguments just for fun.
Yeah, let's rehash that, Marie. Why not? Right here, live in front of everybody. The tens of people that are listening to this show.
I love that.
Bring it on. I'm ready. Let's go.
I can still take you down, you know.
I know you can.
It's no problem.
It's actually kind of hot.
Yes, it is.
Right.
I mean, and we're talking about karate, right?
Right.
Like taking you down is martial arts. Yeah. Please do not try this at home. So you know how we have arguments not all the time. What was I saying? All the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Especially okay.
Is there something I don't know, Marie?
So back in the day, before we started doing all these meetings and stuff,
right? You
remember when we would have arguments?
Oh yeah.
And I would turn into a 7-year-old child about it. Doesn't it feel like I was having a tantrum?
I don't think you were alone on that. I wouldn't just like shame yourself.
Well, I'm only speaking for myself.
Yeah,
I just wanted to not start an argument.
I mean, I'll say that I was probably 12 years old, so I was a little more mature, which, you know, so there has to be an adult-ish person in the room, right?
Yeah, like a puberty-ish child. Okay.
Well, mainly I was 12 because my voice was cracking every time we were at an argument. Like, you bought some bikes. That's where my voice would go. But yeah.
So let's take us back to one argument that we were having about when we used to do triathlons. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
And you wanted to buy another bike.
Yeah.
And
because there's never enough bikes in triathlon. Yeah.
So, and we had an argument about this. Mm-hmm. So, and I just got really, really upset about it.
Yeah. This was one of many. I mean, like, we had lots of different arguments, but this is just a good example of where that came into play.
Well, it starts off with, I say something to you.
Yeah.
Let's say you take it personally, and something happens inside you, like there's a pressure cooker.
Right.
Sort of say. A pressure cooker of emotions, like, she just did not say that. Did she just say that?
Right.
Oh my goodness. What am I going to hit her back with?
Yeah. Yeah.
What words am I going to use? Because I deserve this sort of thing.
Yeah. I work hard and I want to I want to practice my passion and enjoy myself. And why should it dictate when I'm spending our money on, when I want to do something fun? Yeah. Yeah. Do you not want me to have fun? Yeah.
I'm using, and then you come back with, why are you being so controlling? Mm-hmm. Which, it's like that little volleyball, whoosh, over the net, and you're like, take that. Yeah. So these almost insults go back and forth, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
We go back and forth. So what is exactly happening in these moments? What do you think is happening in these moments when we're having an argument and you're like, I cannot, this is the how much time we've had this conversation and we're just upset and pissed off and nothing good comes out of it. I know that we're not alone in this.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think I feel like, from my perspective, in my opinion, there's a lot of different things going on. First, it's a lack of alignment. I mean, we haven't communicated. And we talked about this in a past episode where we talked about kind of like some of those things that happen that the main argument that you're having is probably not the root argument.
Yeah.
There's probably stuff down there that's rooted in like a lack of communication because you're just not having those meetings. But I think that there's a sense of like all of these other things are piling up into this one argument because you haven't had that pressure relief valve that you're talking about. And that pressure relief valve could be like a daily connection or a weekly meeting where you're allowed to like bring up these issues and put these issues in front of you. I feel like, right?
Yeah.
Is that how you feel kind of like with when I'm coming to you, let's take ourselves back to that moment, like where where I think it was back in 2014 or somewhere around there when we were first starting triathlon, and I had a bike. I had a triathlon bike, but I wanted this other cool bike, this really, really great bike. And I wanted to buy the bike. And so when I came to you with that, what was going through your head at the time?
It's like, why another bike?
Yeah.
You need something else. You're already spending enough time on this. Yeah.
Interesting. So it wasn't necessarily about the money necessarily, right?
Yeah.
So it's something deeper.
Yeah.
Right.
It is about it's always about something deeper.
Yeah.
It's always the what about me? I don't spend money like that.
So I'm hearing like two other separate issues there, which, or not separate, but like combined issues.
Yes.
That were into this, which hadn't come up in communication before. So I'm hearing that there was we're not spending enough time together because I'm doing this triathlon thing. And then there's the other one that you mentioned, which is that I'm not getting to do these things because you feel trapped. So notice there how there's like three issues that pop up into this one singular question of, hey, I want to go buy a new bike.
Yeah.
And that's interesting that you're bringing those up. But how did that argument like continue to develop then? Because it wasn't like there was that healthy aspect of like, well, hey, I love that you have this passion, that you really enjoying this thing because I love what it's doing for you. But I have some concerns, about like how that impacts what we're doing because here's how I'm feeling about that. Right. But it didn't come out like that. Right.
Oh, of course not. Because there was something inside me that was just, for the lack of the word, triggered. And it was like kind of like an eruption inside me of anger, like wanting to come out. And the way that I found it appropriate in this day and age is to use words.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out in that moment what was going on because it hit something and I was angry.
Yeah.
And when you're angry, you don't really say the right things at
Right.
all.
Yeah.
No, your brain is not turned on.
Yeah. Because you said it's like the 7-year-old person
Version.
coming up, right? So so in your experience and in your expertise on this with relationships, why do we revert back to that 7-year-old or that 12-year-old, depending on who we are? Like, why do we go back to that state?
I know because it's unhealed. Is that part of yourself that let's just take it back to my childhood. I don't think I was really paid attention to, and money was tight always. Like we didn't have that much money,
Right.
so, and my parents always fought about it. So I internalized that as a child and said, my parents are fighting about money, so therefore I don't need anything, so they'll stop fighting.
Right.
That was my solution at the time.
Right. Yeah.
So spending money equed fighting.
So there was a lot of scarcity that happened there because you associated lack of money with anger and fighting and all that, and you associated lack of and so you basically internalized this idea that I don't need anything because I want to protect myself against fighting and anger.
Yeah.
And so then you're just kind of living in this scarcity loop of financial scarcity, time scarcity, and material scarcity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So what really resonated with me and helped me when I went through therapy is doing inner child work, the /IFS.
Oh, interesting.
By Richard Schwartz.
Yeah.
He created that. That really took me back to a place where it helped me heal my own inner child.
Yeah.
And I know that it's popular to talk about this right now, but It's because it's so effective when we work on ourselves.
Yeah.
Because that inner child stays with us, and it screams when we have these fire, as you can tell with the whole bike situation.
Right.
That inner child in me would get upset and be like, we can't do this because it's going to cause an argument, and therefore I caused an argument about it too.
Right.
So
Yeah, and I think it's important to note in this section that we're not therapists.
No.
Obviously, we're not licensed
No.
therapists. We're coaches, but we've both been through the IFS kind of therapy in the past. And maybe for those who don't know, can you talk a little bit about what IFS is, internal family systems? What,
Yeah.
maybe share a little bit about it.
When I hear internal family systems, I always think it's about the immediate family or something like
Right,
that. But it
yeah.
actually has to do with yourself and
Yeah.
how you are not just your thoughts and your feelings, but parts of you.
Yeah.
You have your inner self, your center, and then you have what are the manager, the firefighter, and the exile. And forgive me if I'm wrong with those, but the manager is like keeping everything together and putting, like just managing everything, controlling everything. And then
Right.
you have the fighter. That one loves to come out when we have arguments.
Oh,
too.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
I'm going to stop this.
It's like self-righteous, just
Yes.
spraying everything with the water of self-righteousness. Yes.
Yes. And then you have the exile, which is
The inner
like,
child kind of,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. The exile. Well, the one that just wants to escape and not be a part of it. Like,
Oh, interesting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So having that thought, like when you're working on these parts in these different parts of yourself, it's the basic thought of it is to focus on each of these parts and really communicate with them. Because once you shed light on these parts, then it really starts the process of working to healing yourself.
Yeah. That's interesting because, when you're talking about, when you put it that way and you talk about these individual parts, which sounds a little, it sounds a little woo-woo, with like the idea of like, oh, okay, I have this part of me that was that at 7 years old felt like I was abandoned or whatever, and then that they hang on to that, and then like there's all these little parts and all that kind of stuff. It sounds, but when you piece it together and when you think about it in terms of like an argument that we have or how we show up in the world, it makes a lot of sense because without that knowledge, what we kind of feel like when we get into those zones is like, man, why did I react that way? Why am I so angry at this? Or why is this hitting me so hard? But when you kind of dig into it and you're like, okay, so that's a part of me and I can actually become aware of it and become more of an observer instead of a participant in that part. It almost allows you to kind of separate yourself from it and try to heal it in some ways. It is pretty powerful. And yeah, I like the way that you put it, that when you think of it, it's about really your operating system. And I think one thing we've talked about in the past, and one thing we'll probably do more of an episode on, is that we as human beings individually, I mean, I coach leadership teams and businesses on operating systems, right?
Yes.
How their business should operate.
Yes.
How they should have the right people in the right seats. How they should have the right set of data.
I see where you're going
have
with
the right
this.
vision, right?
Yes.
But individually, right, as people, we need to also have an operating system because, like I tell my leadership teams that I work with, if you don't intentionally develop and build the operating system for your business with discipline and real accountability, then it will be developed for you because you're on an operating system whether you like it or not. It's just a matter of, are you in control of that operating system or is it controlling you? And us as humans and us how we show up in our relationships, it's almost like this 3-circle Venn diagram of, you have a business operating system, you have an individual operating system that is you, which IFS is great at kind of like looking into. What operating system have you created within yourself unintentionally? And then once you maybe unravel that or dismantle it or maybe look into it, you can start to put those pieces together more intentionally in terms of how you want to put that operating system together. And that's, I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, I'd love your thoughts on this, before you even focus on business or relationship operating systems, your individual operating system is what you should focus on yourself first. Because don't we get trapped in that moment of like, oh, I need to figure out what everybody else wants from me, because especially as men, I'm Mr. Man, and I need to take care of everybody. I need to take care of my family. I need to take care of my wife, or I need to take care of this and that. But we don't focus on ourselves. And same for women, in terms of like you needing to show up as this in a certain way, but you don't. But if we're not intentional about our individual operating system, so I guess my question to you then is that true? Do we need to focus on ourselves and our individual operating system first?
Yes. How else are you able to communicate your needs?
Yeah.
By that aspect. I mean, and I like the way that you kind of use the business operating systems as a way. It's very similar, so it can, people can understand what's going on for yourself. So say, let's go back to when I was a kid and my parents fought about money.
Right.
My tool that I used was to not ask for anything. Like, I don't need new clothes. I don't need to do anything. Like, I don't need dance classes. I don't need anything extra. That was my solution.
Right.
So if you, that was my solution. Does that work now? But it worked for like a tiny, tiny bit. But does that help me in the long run?
Right.
That tool that I used as a child, we are unintentionally using that. The tools that we used as kids, we're using them now. So like say you're using a screwdriver.
Yeah.
Like a Phillips head screwdriver, just a regular one that you twist.
Right.
And you're using it, say, on like multiple, like you're putting together maybe something elaborate. Let's just say like a hutch or something, or a desk.
Yeah.
And you're putting tens of thousands of screws, or a fence.
That's a big hutch. Tens of thousands of screws.
Okay. Let's say you're building that over and over again.
Right.
And you're using the same tool as your kid. Wouldn't it be more efficient to upgrade to an electric
Yeah, absolutely.
screwdriver
Right.
with multiple multiple heads on it, so you can go through it faster?
Yeah.
This is what we're doing. We're taking the tools that we have used as children, and we're applying it to our adult life. How is that effective?
Yeah. Right.
And-
It's not.
It's not at all. So it's interesting, and we're wondering why they're not working.
Yeah. And it is interesting as you say that, because I know a lot of people we talk to say, I don't want to run my relationship or myself like a business. I'm not like a business, but they all have the same mechanics, and this is what we're trying to convey here. Is when you're thinking of an operating system for your business or your personally, they may be different operating systems, but they take the same level of intentionality and attention to them. And yeah, when you're saying that you've adapted these kind of these individual parts that are developed to protect you over the course of years, of course you're going to tap into that when an argument happens, and I say something with regard to buying an expensive bike or anything, and it triggers that 7-year-old part of you to say no, because that part of you, oh no, I have this fear of money, and then that of course brings up the other firefighter that says that oh no, I'm also angry because I didn't get those things, and I had to put myself aside. So why do you get to do that? And all of that kind of stuff comes up. So yeah, how do we? So what can we take from that? Like how do we? Is it just really a self-awareness? What are the steps we can take to maybe navigate that, to make sure that we're maybe developing our own operating system better?
Oh, I like that question. First of all, acknowledging it like you just did. You're like, when an argument happens, you looked inwards. Like, why did I say that? Why did I act that way, instead of why can't I get the other person to see my side? Right. And that's the first step in acknowledging that part of you.
Right.
And then a lot of inner child work can be worked on. I mean, you can go back. I mean, what write down after you had an argument. Why? I mean, dig down. Why?
Yeah.
I was angry at him. Why? And then why was I was angry at him because he spent money on a bike. Why?
Yeah.
Because I didn't want him to spend money. Why?
Yeah.
You know, you keep digging down. We got to it pretty quickly when we were talking at the beginning. We were digging down to see what was the root of the problem. And I came up with my childhood.
Yeah.
And it basically comes back down to that.
Yeah.
So it goes, if you dive down to the levels of where you started using that first way and the thought process that you had attached to that acknowledgement in itself. And then say, my tool back then was, I didn't need anything.
Right.
What would be a better tool to use in this situation?
Let Adam get the bike.
You did get the bike.
I know
though.
I did. I'm just
You did get the bike.
It's because you're such a wonderful spouse. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, a part of me was like, what do I want?
Yeah. Right.
I've been taking care of the kids so much. I don't even know what I want.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to be so passionate about something as much as Adam is.
And that's an interesting turnaround though, because there was that element of like, okay, well, so what I'm hearing is you shifted your mindset from, oh, I'm angry because he wants something that, you know, he's getting, but what you shifted it into, okay, well, what do I want? I mean, when you dug into that and you started to dig in, okay, well, this is the root of the fear around that. But really, what is it that then you ask yourself, what is it that you want? And I want to, make it clear. I think, we talked about the bike. Of course, we got past the argument, and it didn't just come out that I just said, fine, I'm getting the bike anyways, screw you. No, we talked about it. We worked through it. But there was that element of like, yeah, what do I want? Because I think that was a source of, part of my frustration was that, yeah, I want to do these things. I want to have fun, and I want you to too, but you still kind of had that fear. So what got you past that fear, so to speak, and you were able to find what you wanted?
A lot of crying at first.
Yeah.
Because when I got down to the root of the problem, I realized how that I was really sad by that.
Sure.
It's really sad to think about my 7-year-old self coming up with a solution to a problem that's not my responsibility as a child. And using it for so many years. And realizing that I needed to put that tool down. And I feel like I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. But it's that grievance period.
So you had to grieve the loss of that part of you?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just letting go of that part.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just asking, what do you really need? What do you need in this moment? I need a hug. I need, something like that. Like there's even instances where it's a good idea to talk to your inner child and ask them what they need. That's really super powerful. And it's really uncomfortable. I'll tell you that. It's not like this is not these. I mean, if you're really interested, I would check out a therapist who does IFS work there. It's amazing.
It's great work.
But digging down and having those conversations, it's really super powerful.
Yeah.
But it's also acknowledgement of what they went through and what they were doing to keep themselves safe.
Yeah. And if you want to read a book on this, it's called No Bad Parts by Richard Schwartz, who was the creator, the therapist who created developed IFS as a theory, as a cycle. And it's a good book that really describes how it works. And a lot of times, to your point, those parts, it's not like, I mean, there's a sense of you can't control them when they come up. So a lot of the work that is done is like, all right, well, what part is coming up now? And then that's when you interact with it.
Yeah.
But to your point, reach out to a therapist on this, because they can help kind of get that started. But once you work through that healing process with IFS, then beyond that, working with it, or becoming more self-aware of it, and then learning to develop that operating system that you have, is kind of that important way of developing that. I mean, and I think, what are some of the important parts? I guess the question I would have for that is as we've kind of evolved past that, as we started having meetings and started doing all of this work on ourselves, and you've gone through a lot of the coursework to develop your coaching in relationships and intimacy and sex. How do you apply that today into the arguments that we have, or into the, let's not even call them arguments necessarily, even though we still have arguments, like, how do you, into our communication style, how do we
incorporate this into our relationship? After working with ourselves,
right?
I think if both are willing to have these like these truths about the inner child, and figuring out what parts are being triggered by it, and then having that communication with each other and saying, hey, look, like, not when you're having an argument, just don't do that. But
right.
To have these talks, like, I'm working on this, and I know when we talk about money, and I know we had these conversations before about it. We've had this, and I said, you know what, I'm really triggered by it, and here in going into to telling you and explaining to you how talking about money makes me feel uncomfortable, triggered, and relaying that information to you and telling you how this is what's going on for me.
Right. Yeah.
And having that open communication about what your triggers are and what's coming up for you. So hopefully, if you can't see it in the moment, your partner could see it in the moment too. It's like, oh,
yeah,
we need to have open and number conversations about this. And I know we were talking about it, and I was like, I'm really having thoughts about it right now, and I'm like trying to breathe through it. I remember when I was having conversations with you, and we were like, we have to talk about finances. It's very important. And you're telling me, and I'm like, I'm taking deep breaths, and I'm really trying to be like, sit with this uncomfortable feeling inside me about it. Right. So,
well, and what's funny about that too is that when you were having that, and your inner child was coming up, and you're having like these triggers, I'm also, my childhood, my inner child is coming up and basically saying, emotion wasn't a good thing when it came up in my childhood, right? So like if emotion was coming up and like all of that breathing, it's like, alarm bells in my head. Like now my inner child is coming up and trying to fix it and like suppress it, because I want like this artificial harmony to exist, or like I need to know you're okay. So that took a lot of work for me to get past, like, you're allowed to process emotion, and that's totally fine. That doesn't mean that things are bad. It means that things are being worked through in a healthy way.
Yes.
And that was a hurdle for me to get past.
Yeah.
And I think that may be true for a lot of people that had maybe grown up in childhoods where maybe emotions were like considered bad or pushed down.
Yes.
And that was certainly like, that's always been something like, it's like, I feel wildly uncomfortable when emotions are starting to come up. But I've gotten through that quite a bit in the last few years to basically be able to hold that space now.
Yeah, I'm very impressed by that too. And it's we started off with very uncomfortable conversations with each other. Yeah. And being able to hold space for each other, and during those uncomfortable conversations is what slowed down our arguments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, because that is part of any operating system individually. Is how are you showing up in the world, and how are you processing emotion?
Yes.
And how are you able to deal with any kind of conflict that is the nature of human existence? You are going to deal with issues and conflict all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think I think that's an important kind of part of that. I guess my next question is to that end. It's, I think we were very fortunate in that we both were able to kind of go on our own journeys of therapy, where we've been in therapy for years. I've been in 15 years, and you're in a similar boat. You were in therapy when you were a teenager, and
Yes.
even like well into adulthood, you've been going to therapy for years as well. We've been dealing with therapists with our kids and all of that. But it could very well be, and so we've had a lot. What I'm saying, I guess, we've had a lot of time to work on ourselves and work on our communication to this point where we've built this relationship that has deeply rooted trust. Now, in those cases where maybe there is one person that is wanting to fix it, and they're listening to this show maybe, and they're thinking, oh, I would love to have that, but my spouse isn't coming along with me.
Yes.
They are fighting it tooth and nail, right? Or they want to keep picking on the fights and all of that, and they don't feel like that maybe the communication is one way. What are your thoughts on that, and how to repair that, and how to be that, how to show up as that person that is wanting to grow when your spouse maybe isn't there yet?
That's difficult. We don't all grow at the same time.
Right.
That I know there's been instances where you took a step forward and you grew, and I felt left behind, and I felt lost.
And vice versa.
Yeah, exactly. And in those instances, first of all, you need to give each other grace. Modeling behavior is an excellent way of starting that
Right.
out, and having boundaries.
Yeah.
I see you're heated. I don't want to start an argument right now. I think we need to step away from it.
Yeah.
And this is important to me, and I need you to respect those boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love you, but I need a minute because I really don't want to say anything. I will regret.
Yeah.
And being able to be like, understand that sometimes when your partner is arguing with you, and this is a good reminder, is they feel safe with you. They feel safe to be like the child that's having a tantrum. They feel safe.
Yeah. It may not be healthy, and it may be
It's
showing
not.
up as attachment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
But yeah.
But to understand in that instance,
Right.
to have that thought in your back of your head is important, so you don't get activated.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that you make a very important point there with regard to boundaries too. And this is really hard for people because there is a lot of feeling, in the worst set of circumstances is a feeling that you could be like you're being held hostage by other people's reactions or responses or emotions that are coming up in that time, that you have to be there for their safety. And I think that boundaries is an important part, and we've both had that in our lives, where we've had to put those boundaries up to the extent that, look, I cannot be here anymore if this is going to continue to be the behavior. Like we've had to put those boundaries up on each other at different points in our marriage. You had to do it before I got sober, because we couldn't have that, and you couldn't have that in the household anymore. You couldn't be part, and you had the courage to do that.
Yeah.
And I had the courage to do it later on when things got a little, when things got different in that way too. And where we just both had to set those boundaries.
Yes.
And that's important, but it's also important, to your point. I really like the idea of giving that grace when it can be healthy. Just know what your boundaries are. And if those are violated, you have to stay consistent on that.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got to ask yourself, and also, is this something that I can, is this something that if it never changed, could I still be with this person? I mean, those are hard questions to ask.
Yeah.
And hard to put up boundaries, especially if you don't have boundaries set as a person who can put up healthy boundaries with another person. So those are questions that you have to ask yourself too. If you're doing the work, things are going to come up for you while you're doing the work. So also making sure you take care of yourself if you're going to be, when you start this work, because on the other side, it is so amazing, but also recognize the fact that I need to take care of myself. I need to do what I need to do. I need to go take a walk. I need to go for a run, a bike ride. I like to do active things. Also meditation, massage, whatever you cultivate as tools to help you self-soothe and regulate yourself too. Having a therapist too.
Yes.
Or a good friend to talk to if you're having. But this work is uncomfortable, and but your communication will drastically improve.
And it's always evolving, I'd imagine, because you're still going through life experiences where circumstances are hitting you and creating new parts of you that are developing with everything. So you're constantly working with this.
Yes.
And I think that the whole point is like you can't set an operating system for yourself and just be done with it and say, yep, that's it. Those are my values. Those are my beliefs. That's it. And I'm never going away from that again, because when you do that, you're locking yourself into this like bubble that is not going to, that is not growth. And if you're a growth oriented couple, especially, that is building a business or building a life of adventure and love together, it's going to evolve because new sets of circumstances are going to come in and hit those parts of you and also flow into you and become new parts.
Yes. And
so it's important to always be evaluating your individual operating system first. I believe. Am I wrong about that? Like this is like putting your own oxygen mask on first. I know it's cliche. But I think said in a different way, understand your operating system.
So let me ask this question. It's like, how can you understand somebody else if you don't understand yourself first?
Right. Yeah.
Or in order for you to learn about a business, you have to study it.
Yeah. Have you ever been in an argument like with your leadership team, and you go down this path of arguing for like an hour about something, and you end up not even knowing what the argument is about?
Yes.
I mean, because you're like arguing about like, okay, well, we need to invest in this particular piece of equipment for our thing, and then it just turns into an argument. You're like, what are we arguing about? Does this fit our strategy or what or not? Right? I mean, so it's like it's the same thing in our relationships. If we're like no we're arguing, okay, what are our individual operating systems in conflict with right here? Like what do we individually, where is this hitting our values, our belief systems, our understanding of the world? Because all of that, like within those parts that have developed on top of us, what they are is just layers on top of this core of who we are.
Yeah.
And understanding that core of who we are is really important. So that work is done with deep therapy in like things like IFS, so you could peel away those parts, and really understand what is at the root of that. And that's constant work. That's like stuff that's stuff we're still doing. I'm doing that right now.
Yeah.
Only a year out of coming out of our family business, and I just posted about the idea of like I'm trying to figure out kind of what my identity is outside of the family business.
Yeah.
What my operating system is.
Yeah.
And it's just always working. So don't ever feel like there's a there. Just feel like I'm going to keep digging, and the more I know about myself, the more I get closer to this internal harmony where I can show up more authentically as myself, and in that way be able to better support my spouse, my family, and show up better for them.
Yay. I love it so much that how much the work that you have done too. I know I've done the work, and it's just admiring the fact that you are seeing that.
Yeah. Well, all of this
in
stuff,
yourself.
well, especially within that regard, this is all stuff that I've learned from you,
Yeah.
that we've learned together. And that as you continue to develop on this path of helping individuals within their own, develop their own operating system from this deep, intimate standpoint, so that they can show up better in a relationship and as lovers. That's like the most important starting point that we can.
Exactly.
So I think that rule of especially when you're building a business with your spouse, I think the order of operations should be your operating system individually,
Yes.
your relationship operating system, which is kind of what we're focused on here,
Yes.
and then the business operating system, which is if you have those first two in alignment, that other one can kind of take care of itself. That becomes a lot more simple when that's aligned.
Yes.
Do you agree?
I agree with that.
Yeah.
It's very important that you start with yourself first.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts or anything else like about, the nature of how we argue and like how we show up and what we're talking about here?
First of all, it's like this type of work is I always tell everybody it's very uncomfortable, but totally worth it. It's like if you were looking, I always tell, if you were looking for a therapy that's the most bang for your buck,
Yeah.
internal families systems is one of those I feel that has really improved my quality of life. And then on the other note is next time you have an argument and you get triggered this week, especially if you have an argument and you get triggered, write that down.
Yeah.
Write that down and ask yourself why. Why? What is it? The 5 whys? You
The
ask
5 whys, yeah.
5 whys 5 different times to dig down to see what exactly is going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you'd be surprised and looking at it too. That's a challenge for this week is probably the best thing I can throw out there.
It's a great
for
idea.
everybody.
I love that. Yeah. If you find yourself in an argument, as I'm understanding it,
Yes.
dig into it and find the root.
Yes.
Chances are the argument that you're having is not really what you're upset about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not about them. It's
Nobody gets
what
divorced.
about you?
Yeah, nobody gets divorced because one of the spouses buys a bike. It's because of a lot of stuff underneath that. Is that right? All right. Well, one way to avoid those, or one way to have those difficult and challenging conversations in a controlled and more in a healthy fashion, and also avoid those arguments that you have about this, so that you can understand each other's operating system, is to have a weekly meeting and to have a weekly connection with your spouse. And that's why we've created a workbook that can help you have, just if you take 20 to 30 minutes every single week to just sit with your spouse and really connect. We've created this really intentional guide that can help you within that time frame to have the most bang for your buck within that 30-minute time frame. All it takes is 30 minutes. Of course, you could do more. Of course, any time that you spend with your spouse is great, but all it takes is that 30 minutes. So if you want to download that workbook and download that guide, we're going to have that in the show notes. We may not have it right away if you're listening, starting out. We're still working on getting that set up.
I'm getting it done.
But we will at some point go back into all of these episodes, throw it into the show notes so that you can download it. So rest assured that it will be there. Please download it and enjoy it. It's our gift to you. And if you want to pay us back in some way or spread this message, we would love it if you would subscribe to the show, if you'd share it with a friend, if you'd give it a review and a like. That way we're able to spread this out so that more people get eyes and ears on it. And we're able to share this message for entrepreneurial couples who want to build not just a great business together, but a great life together. So thank you so much for joining us this week, and we will look forward to seeing you next time.